Most people think they understand what happened between Prince William and Prince Harry. They don't. What really happened wasn't loud, it wasn't emotional, and it wasn't visible in the way people expect conflict to be visible. What happened was quiet, procedural, and permanent. It didn't unfold in public arguments or dramatic confrontations. It unfolded inside systems designed to erase problems without ever acknowledging them. And once you understand how this move was made, you'll realize this was never about family, forgiveness, or personal feelings. This was about power, exercised at the highest level. And once it began, there was no way back. Prince William made a move so calculated, so deliberate, that even people who work inside the palace didn't see it coming. Not because it was reckless, not because it was dramatic, but because it was quiet. And quiet decisions inside powerful institutions are always the most dangerous ones. This wasn't about wounded pride. It wasn't about sibling resentment. It wasn't about public arguments or private anger. This was about power, institutional power, and how it gets exercised when someone understands the system better than the people trying to challenge it. Harry believed he still had leverage. He believed there were still doors open to him. He believed there was still room to negotiate, still space to maneuver, still a path back if things went far enough. That belief was wrong. Meghan believed the titles were permanent. She believed once they were granted, they could never be touched. She believed they were untouchable, protected by tradition, protected by optics, protected by fear of backlash. That belief was also wrong. And the most dangerous part of all is that William didn't announce what he was doing. He didn't threaten. He didn't confront. He didn't make a public show of authority. He didn't need to. He simply moved, slowly, deliberately, and without noise. What actually happened isn't what the headlines talk about. Headlines focus on invitations, on appearances, on whether someone was included or excluded from an event. That kind of drama is easy to understand. This wasn't that. William didn't block Harry from a wedding. He didn't refuse a phone call. He didn't leak a story to the press. He didn't stage a family confrontation. What he did was far more permanent than any of that. He went to the one place Harry cannot fight back. He went into the legal and constitutional structure of the monarchy itself. Here's the part no headline will ever explain, because it doesn't look dramatic enough to be news. Prince William didn't attack. He didn't confront. He didn't issue warnings or make threats. He didn't even need to speak publicly. Instead, he went to the one place Harry could never challenge, into the legal and constitutional structure of the monarchy itself. And once that door closed, it didn't slam. It sealed, quietly, permanently. And by the time anyone noticed, the outcome was already locked in. There's a widespread misunderstanding about royal titles, and Harry and Meghan relied on that misunderstanding. Most people assume titles are automatic. You're born into the family. The title becomes yours. And that's the end of the story. It feels ancient. It feels fixed. It feels unchangeable. But that assumption is false. Royal titles are not possessions. They are grants. They exist because the sovereign allows them to exist. And because they are granted, they can be modified, restricted, suspended, or removed entirely. The sovereign does not need permission to do this. Not from Parliament, not from the public, not from the individual holding the title. When the decision is made, it becomes reality. There's no appeals process built into the system. There is no negotiation. There is no mechanism for resistance once the authority has been exercised. William is not king yet, what he is next. And he has been preparing for this position far longer than people realize. Not just in public, not just symbolically, but internally, structurally, intellectually. Because William has spent his entire life watching how this institution survives pressure. He watched his grandmother deal with scandals that threatened to overwhelm the monarchy. He watched how she handled Prince Andrew. He watched how Sarah Ferguson was pushed out of relevance. He watched what happened when patience was mistaken for kindness, and kindness was mistaken for weakness. He watched what happened when problems were allowed to linger instead of being resolved, and he learned something crucial. Time does not heal institutional damage. Time spreads it. So William made a decision long before anyone noticed. He decided he was not going to inherit unresolved chaos. He was not going to wait until the crown was on his head to deal with a problem that was already undermining the structure. He was not going to repeat the mistakes he had watched for decades. He was going to act early, quietly, and in a way that could not be undone. The method he chose is so procedural, so legally sound, that by the time the public understands what happened, the outcome will already be locked in. This is where people misunderstand how power actually works. They imagine that removing a title requires a dramatic public moment, a confrontation, a ceremony, an announcement that makes headlines. It doesn't. It requires paperwork. Paperwork that moves through offices that don't explain themselves. Offices that don't give interviews. Offices that don't care about optics or public emotion. The Lord Chamberlain's office, the College of Arms, the Privy Council. These institutions exist to formalize reality. This is where William has been operating. He went to his father, King Charles, not as an angry brother, not as a wounded son, but as the future monarch protecting the institution he will one day lead. He did not speak emotionally. He spoke strategically. He laid out the pattern slowly. The interviews, the memoir, the documentaries, the repeated monetization of royal association, the way symbolic titles were being used as commercial leverage, the way ambiguity was being exploited. And then he made the argument Charles could not dismiss. If this behavior is allowed to continue, it becomes permanent. Charles has always believed in reconciliation. He believes in repair. He believes in second chances. He believes that family unity is worth protecting, even when it comes at a cost. But William was not asking for comfort. He was asking for authority. And whether Charles wanted to admit it or not, he understood the risk. A monarchy that appears weak does not survive. A monarchy that allows its symbols to be exploited loses legitimacy. So Charles gave William what he needed. And once that happened, the process began. Quietly, legally, without spectacle. The language was technical. The precedents were old. The authority was absolute. This was not emotional. It was administrative. It was not dramatic. It was surgical. William is not staging a public stripping of titles. He is ensuring that when the moment arrives, there's nothing left to debate. The decision is already written. The structure is already in place. The outcome is already sealed. And this is where the real shift happens. William is not just removing titles. He is removing ambiguity. For years, Harry and Meghan existed in a gray zone. Not working royals, but still titled. Not representing the family, but still benefiting from the association. Officially independent, yet still demanding recognition, status, and protection. That gray zone was the problem, and William is eliminating it completely. Once this is done, there is no confusion. Harry is not a working royal. He holds no royal styling. He is not Prince Harry in any legal or institutional sense. He becomes Henry Mountbatten Windsor, a private citizen with a famous surname and no institutional backing. Meghan is not the Duchess of Sussex. She is Mrs. Mountbatten Windsor. No HRH, no authority, no access. And then there are the children. This is where the strategy extends beyond the present. Archie and Lilibet technically qualify for royal titles as grandchildren of the monarch. But that status is not automatic. It requires the sovereign's approval. And William is making sure that approval is never granted. Not out of cruelty, out of containment. Because if those children grow up with royal titles, the problem does not end. It continues into the next generation. And William has watched this pattern his entire life. Too many people with royal status and no royal responsibility create instability. They create scandal. They create confusion. William has seen where that leads. So he decided the pattern ends with him. No more people trading on royal connection without serving the crown. No more branding royal identity as a personal asset. No more confusion about who represents the institution and who does not. When William becomes king, the structure will be unmistakable. If you work, you have status. If you do not, you do not. And that rule applies to everyone, even his own children. If Charlotte or Louis choose not to become working royals, they will not retain royal titles. There will be no automatic privilege, no guaranteed insulation from consequence. That alone makes it impossible to dismiss this as personal or vindictive. This is not punishment. This is architecture. William did not act alone. He acted with full awareness of Parliament's role. He understands that the monarchy exists because Parliament allows it to exist. He understands history well enough to know what happens when institutions protect the wrong people for too long. Every scandal erodes trust. Every misuse of privilege strengthens the argument against the crown's relevance. William knows the question that follows every controversy. Do we still need this? So when he acts, he ensures Parliament sees accountability, not persecution. Reform, not revenge. Stability, not weakness. That is why Harry and Meghan cannot fight this. They cannot claim cruelty when the standard applies universally. They cannot claim unfairness when the public has been asking for clarity. They cannot frame it as personal when it is grounded in constitutional authority. And once it is executed, they cannot ignore it. There will be no ceremony, no announcement, no explanation. The records will update. The listings will change. The silence will settle. And one day, Harry will wake up and no longer be a prince in the eyes of the state. Meghan will wake up and no longer be a duchess. And the world will continue turning. That is when the consequences truly begin. Their post-royal life was built entirely on those titles. Every contract, every appearance, every deal relied on the perception of royal proximity. Remove the titles, and the narrative collapses. They are no longer royals who chose freedom. They become individuals who lost status. That distinction changes everything. Interest fades. Access diminishes. Value declines. Not out of cruelty, but because the product itself has changed. Meghan believed the title belonged to her. She even attempted to trademark it. That move revealed a fundamental misunderstanding. A royal title is not intellectual property. It cannot be owned. It belongs to the crown. And the crown takes back what it grants. Harry should have known this. He watched the institution withdraw protection from others before. He saw how it works. The monarchy does not argue. It does not negotiate. It simply moves on. Harry believed blood would protect him. William does not see blood. He sees risk. And risk
is neutralized.
This is not anger. Anger is loud. Anger makes mistakes. This is calm, deliberate planning. William is not reacting. He is designing a future where this problem cannot return. Once this structure is in place, there is no path back. No reconciliation, no role waiting. Even apologies would not matter. The system has no space for people who left. William looked at what he inherited and made a decision. It ends with me. He knows how this makes him look. Cold, unforgiving, ruthless. He accepts that because his responsibility is not to be liked. It is to ensure the monarchy survives intact. So he is acting now, quietly, legally, permanently. By the time Harry fully understands what has happened, the door will not simply be closed. It will be sealed by precedent and impossible to reopen. William did not block Harry from an event. He removed him from the institution itself, not with noise, with absence. And that is how the monarchy ends things. If you want to stay ahead of every quiet shift, every hidden decision, and every story the mainstream media avoids, this is where you belong. Subscribe now and turn on notifications because the most important moves in power are never announced. They happen quietly, inside systems most people never look at. And by the time the explanation arrives, the outcome is already irreversible. This channel exists to trace those moments before they become history, to follow the silence, the paperwork, and the decisions that reshape everything without making a sound. If you want to understand power before it explains itself, make sure you're here when the next move happens.